Alright, what is up you guys, and welcome back to the 97 English course. In today's recording we're going to be going over Unit 10, Nutrition and Health. So always, before we start, let's go with the key vocab and then we'll move on. So we have bread, butter, cheese, chicken, coffee, drink, eat, eggs, fish, food, fruit, ice cream, juice, meat, milk, potato, rice, sandwiches, sugar, tea, vegetable, and water. Okay? All of these are examples of different nutrition and foods. So now let's go to lesson 1, listening. Right? So look at the photographs above. Here we have different dishes and different types of food, right? So which ones show food and which ones show drinks? Okay, so this should be pretty simple. A, obviously, food. B, food as well. C, food. D, food. E is food. F is also food. I mean, if you consider sugar, if you eat sugar, but we usually use it in liquids, so this one, it just depends. I swear to God, I don't know what this is. But all I know is that it's food, so doesn't matter for now. Then H, French fries, obviously food. Food, ice cream, food. Food, and coffee. This looks like coffee, so we'll say that this is a drink. Okay, orange juice, again a drink. Soda, drink. Milk, a drink. Tea is a drink, and finally, water is obviously a drink. Okay? Now let's go to exercise B, listen and point. Right, so we're going to be listening to this audio right here, and we'll point towards the pictures. Here we go.
159. Unit 10. Nutrition and Health. Lesson 1. Listening. Exercise B. Listen and point.
Ice cream. Rice. Bread. Chicken. Milk. Tea. Sandwiches. Butter. Eggs. Water. Orange juice. Coffee. Cheese. Sugar. Potatoes. Would you like some coffee? How about a cup of tea? Do you take sugar? I don't want milk, thank you. Would you like some more potatoes? I had a cheese sandwich for lunch. Did you? I had chicken and rice. Could I have a glass of water, please? Do you have any orange juice? My favourite food is boiled eggs. I love them. It's so hot. You fancy an ice cream? I'd like some bread and butter with my meal, please.
Alright, so pretty straightforward exercise. Now let's go to exercise C, listen and answer. Alright, so we're going to be listening to some questions. For example, do you like rice? Do you like butter? And I'll answer as we go, but I want you guys to speak up as well, okay? This is your listening exercise after all, so speak up. Here we go.
160. Exercise C. Listen and answer.
Do you like rice?
Do
Yes,
you
I
have
do.
milk in tea or coffee?
I do.
Do you put butter on your bread?
Yes, I do.
Do you prefer tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Do you have eggs in the morning?
Nope.
What kind of potatoes do you like?
How many teas or coffees do you drink every day?
1 cup.
How much sugar do you have in your tea or coffee?
2 spoons.
How much water do you drink every day?
8 glasses.
What's your favourite ice cream?
Vanilla. Right, so I know that was quite fast. You probably didn't didn't even get the chance to talk. I personally couldn't, so we'll say the questions one more time. So they start by saying, do you like rice? And I answer yes. Yours could be no, or maybe, it depends. Do you have milk in tea or coffee? No, I don't. No, I don't. I either drink tea or coffee, and I never use milk with either. So that's that. So do you put butter on your bread? No, I don't. Do you prefer tea or coffee? Coffee for me. Do you have eggs in the morning? I don't. I don't eat breakfast. What kind of potatoes do you like? I could say French fries, right? What kind of potatoes do you like? I'll either say French fries or boiled ones. How many teas or coffees do you drink every day? I'll say a mug of coffee or 2 mugs, like maximum. Okay. How much sugar do you have in your tea or coffee? 2 spoons for me. How much water do you drink every day? About 7 to 8 glasses. And what's your favorite ice cream? Like I said, vanilla. Okay, so vanilla ice cream. Alright, so that was exercise C. Now let's move on. Here we have listen and add the calories to the table. Alright, so before we move on, you guys got to know that calories, or a calorie, is basically a unit of measurement for energy in food. Okay, so if I give a random number, for example 270 per 100 gram, what I'm saying is that for every 100 grams of this substance, so in this case whether that's chicken, bread, ice cream, there's dash amount of calories. Okay, that's the unit of measurement. Now let's listen to the audio and add the calories as we go. Here we go.
161. Exercise D. Listen and add the calories to the table.
Today I'm going to talk about food and drinks. Why do we eat food? Why do we drink drinks? The answer is obvious. We eat because we are hungry, and we drink because we are thirsty. Of course, we also enjoy food and drinks. But there is another reason for eating and drinking. We eat and drink to get energy. We need energy to do work. We need energy to do leisure activities. We get energy from food and drinks. Some food gives us a lot of energy. Some food only gives us a little energy. Today I'm going to tell you the energy value in certain foods and drinks. By the way, we measure energy value in calories. For example, 1 large potato has about 270 calories, but 1 portion of rice has about 210 calories. So there is more energy in 1 potato than in 1 portion of rice. Let's look at the energy value of some other foods. 1 piece of chicken has an energy value of 185 calories. But did you know that 1 piece of bread has almost as much energy? 160 calories. And if you put butter on the bread, that's another 75 calories. Yes, that's right. 160 for the bread plus 75 for the butter. Add 1 small piece of cheese, and that's another 125 calories. Do you like ice cream? Well, 1 ice cream has 150 calories. A glass of milk has slightly less at 140 calories. Sorry, I meant to say 130 calories. What about soft drinks like cola or lemonade? Actually, they have fewer calories than a glass of milk. There are about 100 calories in a can. There are no calories in tea or coffee. These drinks are mostly hot water. But 1 spoonful of sugar is 20 calories, so if you have 2 spoons and some milk, perhaps your cup of coffee has 60 or 70 calories. Why is this important? Because some people eat and drink too many calories. Then they become too heavy and can have other problems too.
Right, a pretty interesting audio. So we added the calories, and I hope you guys got a better idea of how calories work and how we measure them, right? So we said that 1 potato, right, with the skin is with skin is around 270 calories, right? While one portion of rice is 210 calories, right? A piece of chicken sits at around 185 calories, and then you have one piece of bread is at around 160 calories, right? And if you add butter on that piece of bread, then that's an extra 75 calories. Obviously, again, depending on how many grams you add, right? And for cheese, one small piece is 125 calories, which is a lot, right? It's actually interesting that one can of soda has less calories than a glass of milk, right? 100 compared to milk, which is 130 calories, one glass, but obviously, again, depending on how big and how wide the glass actually is, right? Then we have 1 spoon of sugar is at around 20 calories, right? 1 egg is has around 90 calories. Okay, what else am I missing? Am I missing anything else? No, I think that's about it. So these are all the different calories for calorie numbers for different foods and drinks. Okay, now let's move on. Here we have exercise E. Read the questions below. Actually, before we do that, let's go to skills check 1. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with countable and uncountable nouns. We talked about this before, right? We have 2 kinds of nouns, countable and uncountable. Countable are the things that you can count, right? Uncountable are things that you simply cannot count. You can't count sugar. You cannot count bread, right? You cannot count money. You cannot count rice, okay? So for things that are countable, things that you can count, use the word many. Many eggs, many calories, many cucumbers, for example, okay? But for uncountable nouns, you use the word much, okay? So here, in this case, let me give you an example. The word much, I can say, I don't have much money. And a lot of people seem to ask me this question, is that how is money uncountable? We count money daily, right? The world would not survive without counting money. And I say, yes, we count money, but not the word money itself, right? In English, the word money itself is not countable. When we count in our day-to-day life, what we count is the currency, right? I never say, I have many money, right? I always talk about the currency. So again, much with money, or in this case, uncountable nouns, okay? So yeah, uncountable and countable. Now let's go to exercise E. How dash potatoes do you eat every week, and how dash rice do you eat every day? Which words are missing from each question? Many and much, okay? So potatoes, is it countable or uncountable, you guys? It's countable, so we'll say, how many potatoes do you eat every week? Okay? And rice, is rice countable? I don't think so. You're not going to count every grain of rice. That's realistically, that doesn't work. So we'll say, how much rice do you eat every day? Okay? So what kind of word is potatoes? Like I said, it's a countable noun. What about rice? It's an uncountable noun. Okay? So now let's move on. What do we have here? Here we have exercise F. Look at the food groups on the right. So we have food groups: meat and fish, dairy, cereals, beans, oil and fat, sugar, fruit, and vegetables. Let me actually open this so we can get a better view. We have find examples of each kind of food in the photos. Okay, so it doesn't seem that we have all the examples in the photos, but we have a few, right? So if I say oil and fat, by the way, fat here is macronutrient. It's not actual fat that is stored in your body. There's a difference between fat that's stored in your body, the result of excess calories, and fat, the macronutrient itself. Okay, so oil and fat in this case is right here. Right, meat and fish, we do not have meat and fish here. Fruit and vegetables, again, no fruits and vegetables here. Cereals, no cereals, but we do have beans, right? No sugar, and I I can't see any dairy products. So, okay, that's that. Which kinds of food are usually high in calories? Well, this will require a little bit of research, but I know a few. So, which kinds of food are usually low in calories? So let's start with foods that are high in calories. So you guys got to understand that the macronutrient fat has 9 calories per gram, okay, and that makes it the highest macronutrient in terms of calories. Okay, so oil and fat is high in calories. We'll say that cereals are also very high in calories because they have insane amounts of sugar and other carbohydrates. Okay, dairy products are also high in calories, and we'll say that beans are also quite high in calories, as opposed to fruits and vegetables, which are low in calories. Meat and fish are also low in calories, and sugar, you'd be surprised that sugar is actually low in calories. So whenever someone tells you that sugar is the problem, sugar is actually not the problem. It's the excess calories that's the problem. Sugar itself, 1 tablespoon of sugar has around, like we saw, at around 20 calories, more or less, depending on the size of your spoon. So again, sugar itself is not the problem, but the moment you add sugar and excess calories, that's where problems start to rise. Okay, so these were the different food groups. Again, high in calories, oil and fat, cereals, dairy, and beans. And low in calories, we have fruits and vegetables, meat and fish, and sugar. Okay, let's move on. Right. Here we have exercise G, read skills check 2. Right, let's go there. Here we have recording numbers and percentages. So lecturers often give numbers and percentages. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard by now that when you're listening to a lecturer, he's often going to give numbers and percentages. So how can I write this down so I don't forget it later? Well, I could make a table like the one that we have here, right, for the different numbers or percentages, or I could make a pie chart, but this will require previous notes because I can't make a pie chart in class, right? So let's go to exercise G first. Here we have listen to the introduction to talk about calorie consumption, right? So we're going to listen to a talk about calorie consumption, okay? And then we'll complete the table, right? These are the recommended daily calorie consumption, okay? So we're going to complete these and answer the second question, which is what is the average calorie consumption for the USA? Okay, so ready? Here we go.
162. Exercise G1. Listen to the introduction to a talk about calorie consumption.
In today's lecture, I'm going to look at the main sources of energy from food. As you know, we need energy to do work. Food scientists say that adult women need about 2,000 calories every day, and men need about 2,500. Teenagers need more calories. For boys, the figure is 2,750, and for girls, it's about 2,250. Let's look in detail at one country, the USA. Later, we can compare the information with other countries. In the USA, the average daily calories per person is 3,654. I'll repeat that, 3,654. So, North Americans consume 30% more than the world average. Remember the figures I gave you in my introduction. A woman needs only 2,000 calories a day, and a man only 2,500. So where do people in the USA get all those calories from? Rice, potatoes, chicken, or something else?
Alright, so again for table 1, the recommended daily calorie consumption is 2,500 for men, right? For women, it's a little bit less at 2,000, right? For teenage boys, that number goes up and up it's at around 2,750, and for teenage girls, it's around 2,250. And now, what is the average calorie consumption for the USA? So, people, on average, consume about, I would say about 3,654 calories daily. Okay? So, that was the first part. Now, let's move on. By the way, I would like to add something before we move on, is that people greatly underestimate the amount of calories in foods, right? Like, you'll see someone eating a whole ice cream and then complaining about being fat. Like, they say that, hey, maybe this has 50 calories. Doing research on this topic greatly helps in terms of weight loss, right? Because weight loss always consists of calories in versus calories out of your body. It is energy after all. Okay? So listen to the main part of the talk. Right, so now we're going to be listening to the main part of the talk, and we're going to complete the percentages in the pie chart. So here we go.
163. Exercise G3. Listen to the main part of the talk.
So we're going to look at the main food groups. The first group is cereals. What are cereals? Cereals are kinds of foods like bread, pasta, and rice, for example. This is usually the biggest energy source for most people. In the USA, that's 23%. Next, we have vegetable oil and animal fat. In the USA, people get 18% of their calories from oil and fat. Of course, oil and fat are very high in calories. Sugar is the same amount, 18%. We put sugar in tea and coffee, of course. There is also lots of sugar in soft drinks like Coca-Cola. Obviously, there is sugar in cakes and cookies. But there is sugar in most food from the supermarket too. What's next? It's meat and fish. And the percentage is 16%. After that, we have milk and dairy items. What are dairy items? Well, mainly cheese, yogurt, and eggs. And the percentage for the USA? That's exactly 10%. And now for the healthy food. Food scientists want us to eat 5 portions of fruit and vegetables every day. But in the USA, they only get 5% of their calories from them. And finally, at only 4%, there are beans. These are a healthy, low-calorie food, but Americans eat very few. Many people in the USA have health problems. These figures show us the reason. Now let's compare these figures with 1 or 2 other countries in...
Alright, so let me finish this. Alright, so these were the different kinds of foods and the percentage of basically the average daily calorie consumption in the USA. So people get most of their energy from cereals, right? That's around 23%. By the way, that is the whole diet. So what does their diet in a day consist of? Okay, then we have oil and fat. That's around, again, 18%. Same as sugar, 18%. Meat and fish at around 16%, right? Dairy products at 10%, right? Fruits and vegetables at only 5%, and beans at 4%, and the rest of the 6% of is from other sources of food. Okay, so that was exercise G. Now let's move on. Here we have hearing. Okay, so let's do this pronunciation check. Here we have listen and tick the correct column. So here we have 2 different sounds for double O. So one is fruit, as in oo, and one is O, normal O. So book, cook, could, right? And then you have do, fruit, blue, that oo sound, and you. Okay, so O and U. So let's tick. Here we go.
164. Skills check 3. Listen. Tick the correct column.
Fruit. Blue. Book. Cook. Could. Do. Juice. Look. new, sugar, wood,
Okay, so again, one more time. Fruit, blue, book, cook, could, do, juice, look, new, sugar, and wood. Okay, so that was skills check 3, and that's about it, you guys. Now let's move on. Alright, you guys, so now let's move on to lesson 2, speaking. Here we have exercise A. Look at the photographs. What can you see in the pictures? Talk about the drink and the container in each case. So here we have, obviously, soda, so a can of soda. And then we have water, so a bottle of water, right? And then we have a cup of coffee and a glass of milk, okay? So the drink and the container. Now complete these phrases with other drinks. So instead of saying a can of soda, for example, I can say a can of cola, a can of lemonade, a can of juice, okay? For bottle, I could say, instead of water, I could say a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of milk. Milk also works with bottle, by the way. A bottle of tequila. All of these are good examples, right? And we have cup, so instead of coffee, I could say a cup of tea or a cup of hot chocolate, right? And for glass, again, I could say a glass of juice, a glass of cola, a glass of beer, a glass of soda as well. Okay? Now let's go to exercise B, complete the sentences, right? Looks like we have an introduction here, so I'm going to listen to the introduction first, and then we'll complete the exercise. So here we go.
165. Lesson 2. Speaking. Exercise B2. Listen to the introduction to a lecture about soft drinks. Check your answers.
We are going to do a survey today into soft drinks. Soft drinks are sodas, like cola. They are also juice, water, and tea and coffee. There is a problem in some countries with soft drinks. People are thirsty, so they drink a soda. They don't drink water. People drink too many sodas, and this is bad for their health. Why are sodas bad for your health? Because a can of soda has about 10 spoons of sugar in it. That's right, 10 spoons. What is a healthy amount of sugar each day? Some doctors say it is about 10 spoons. 10 spoons. So that's the same as 1 cola. What about water? What is a healthy amount of water every day? Doctors say it is 6 glasses of water. How many colas do teenagers in your country drink every day? How much water do they have every day? What about coffee and tea? In a minute, we are going to do a survey and find out. But first, look at some information from America.
Alright, so in some countries, people don't have any soft drinks, or people drink too much water, or people drink too many sodas. So in this case, people drink too many sodas. Okay, one can of cola has 1 spoon of sugar. I wish 6 spoons of sugar or 10 spoons of sugar. So 10 spoons of sugar. That is insane to think about, by the way. A healthy amount of sugar is 1 spoon a day, 6 spoons a day, or 10 spoons a day. It's actually, I think it was 10 spoons a day, right? So 1 can of soda, and you can't have any more sugar for the rest of the day. Keep in mind that probably 90% of things in the supermarkets have sugar in them nowadays. Okay, so 10 spoons a day is not ideal to be drinking in 1 can of soda. A healthy amount of water is 1 glass a day, 10 glasses a day, or 6 glasses a day. So like the guy said, it was around 6 glasses a day, but you could drink more. Okay? Exercise B done. Now let's go to exercise C. Here we have, you guys remember bar charts? Remember the bars and how you could find and use a bar chart to your advantage? Well, we're about to right now. So here we have work in pairs. Obviously, if you're in class, this would be a better exercise. So student 1, study the table, and student 2, study the figure, right? So here we have figure 1 and the table here. Okay? Ask and answer in pairs to complete the table and the figure. So how many soft drinks do Americans have every week, and how much tea do Americans drink every week? Okay, so down here in the bar chart we have cups, cans, glasses per week of, depends on the category. So we have energy drinks, tea, fruit and vegetable juices, bottled water, coffee, milk, tap water, and sodas. Okay, now let's go over to the table. Here we have drink 1 is sodas, right? So sodas are really high, so around 15.8 as you can see here, right? So you take a look here and then you go down to the number, and it's better if you do it with a ruler, but hey, I don't have a ruler right now, so that's fine. Sodas 15.8, tap water, again, it's at around, I think tap water is actually around, if we go down here, I'd say 6.8. Yeah, it's 6.8, that's correct. And for milk, again, looks like it's 5.8. Coffee, 5.8 as well. Bottled water has around, we'd say 3.3 glasses of water per week. I don't think that's true, honestly, because you wouldn't survive on 3.3 glasses of water per week, or bottled water, I should say. So in this case, it's bottles. Okay. Fruit and vegetable juice, 2.9, around here as well. Oops, to 2.9, right? And then we have energy drinks. I think energy drinks will give it. This looks like it's a 1.9. Right, so it's the exact same as tea, and tea is again 1.9. Okay, so that was exercise C. Now let's move on. Here we have exercise D. You're going to hear a conversation. A student is going to do a survey into soft drinks. Right, so let's listen and then we'll check our answers.
166. Exercise D2. Listen and check.
Could I ask you some questions?
Yes, sure.
I want to ask you about soft drinks.
Soft drinks, okay.
How much soda do you drink every week?
How many cans?
Yes, cans.
Well, I drink about 3 cans a day. So that's 20 or 21.
Okay. And what about water? How much water do you drink?
Bottled water?
Well, bottled water and tap water.
I don't drink much water. Maybe a glass a day.
Okay. Do you drink anything else? Tea, coffee, juice?
I don't drink any coffee or tea. I don't like them. Juice? Maybe 1 can a week.
That's great. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Alright, so that was a pretty interesting conversation. So could I ask you some questions? Yes, sure. Want to ask you about soft drinks. Soft drinks, okay. How many soda do you drink, or sodas do you drink cans of soda do you drink every week? As in cans? Yes, cans. Well, I drink about 3 cans a day, so that's 20 or 21. 3 cans a day, that is an insane amount. Okay, and what about water? How much water do you drink? Bottled water? Well, bottled water and tap water. I don't drink much water, maybe a glass a day. Wow, I can already smell dehydration from this guy. Okay, do you drink anything else? Tea, coffee, juice? I don't drink any tea or coffee. I don't like them. Juice, maybe 1 can a week. That's great, thanks very much. No problem. Okay, pretty simple exercise. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, here we have exercise E. Do a survey into weekly consumption of soft drinks. So choose your categories, because you guys are going to be doing your own survey now. We're going to be using a bar chart. Okay, remember a bar chart? So we're going to choose the categories. So for example, we'll say, let's say tea, coffee, and add a few more. Okay, make a chart. So in this case, a bar chart with the categories that you picked out, right? So make a line over here, depending on how many categories you have, and add the categories. So in this case, we'll say tea, for example, coffee, milk, and maybe water, right? And ask 5 people in your class about how much, right, cans or how many bottles, it depends. how many cans, bottles, it depends, and then record the results into a chart. Okay, so like so. Okay, work out the total. Okay, get the total and divide the total by 5, which gives you the average number, and then make the bar chart or complete the bar chart on the graph paper itself. Okay. Now, before we move on, you guys remember the same pronunciation check, saying fruit as in oo and o, right? So fruit, juice, to, food, and do. And then we have good, cook, look, would, and could. Okay? And before we move on, please discuss your results with the group. Do people in your group drink too much soda, or do they drink enough water, or do they have that healthy balance for both? Okay? So that was speaking, you guys. Now let's move on. Right, you guys, so now let's move on to vocabulary and pronunciation. So here, exercise A, take a look at the photographs, right, and choose a word from the box under each photograph. So we have cafe, restaurant, and takeaway, right? This looks like a fancy restaurant, so we'll actually write it down. Restaurant, right? And this looks like a cafe. And finally, takeaway. You take away the food. Okay, so restaurant, cafe, and takeaway. Okay, listen to the words in the box below. Is it the same word in your language, and is the pronunciation the same? Okay, so the answer here will greatly depend on you as a student and where you live. Your language might not even be the same, have the same word. So this really just depends on the student. Here we go.
167. Lesson 3. Vocabulary and Pronunciation. Exercise A2. Listen to the words in the box below.
A hot chocolate, a lemonade, a pizza, a sandwich, a snack, some chips, some crisps.
Alright, so now let's go to A3. Where can you get each of the following items? So hot chocolate, lemonade, a pizza, sandwich, a snack, some chips, and some crisps. Okay, so again, answers will depend on you guys, but I'll give you some examples. So we can say you can get a hot chocolate in a cafe, right? You can get a lemonade in a cafe. You can also get a pizza in a cafe, a takeaway, and maybe a restaurant. You can't get a sandwich in a restaurant, right? You can get a snack in a cafe as well. You can get some chips in a cafe or a takeaway, and you can get some crisps in a cafe as well. Okay, so where can you get each of the following answers, following items? Again, will be up to you, but these were some examples. Now let's go to exercise B. Here we have look at each conversation below. We're gonna have to listen, and then we'll check our answers, or rather write them down. So here we go.
168. Exercise B2. Listen and check your answers.
Conversation 1.
Would you like a drink?
Yes, please. Could I have an orange juice?
Certainly. 1 orange juice.
Thank you.
Conversation 2.
Next.
I'd like a large pizza, please. Cheese and tomato.
Would you like mushrooms?
No, thanks. I don't like mushrooms.
1 large pizza. Anything else?
Could I have a large bottle of lemonade, please?
That's £9.25, please.
Thank you.
Conversation 3.
Stop
What
here
would
for
you
a second.
like?
I'm not sure.
Would you like some tea?
No, thanks. I don't like tea.
Do you like coffee?
Yes, I do. But I'm really thirsty. I'd like a large glass of water.
Anything to eat?
No, I'm not hungry.
Right, so I had to stop midway because it was going way too fast. So let's go back to the to conversation 1, and then we'll move forward. So we have in a restaurant, right? Would you like a drink? Yes, please. Could I have an orange juice? Certainly. 1 orange juice. 1 orange juice. Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. In a takeaway, Next, I'd like a large pizza, please, cheese and tomato. Would you like mushrooms? No thanks, I don't like mushrooms. One large pizza, anything we'll say else, right? Could I, we'll say have, a large bottle of lemonade, please? Okay? And then we'll say that's 9.25 pounds, please. Thank you. We'll say thank you. Okay? And in a cafe, dash would you like, so we'll say what would you like? I'm not sure. That's what we're gonna say. Would you like some tea? No, thanks. I don't like tea. Do you dash coffee? We'll say do you like coffee? Yes, I will say do, but I'm really thirsty. I'd like a large glass of water. Anything to eat? No, I'm not. We'll say hungry. Okay? So again, would you like a drink? Yes, please. Could I have an orange juice? Certainly. One orange juice? Yes, please. Thank you. And a takeaway. Next, I'd like a large pizza, please. Cheese and tomato. Would you like mushrooms? No thanks, I don't like mushrooms. One large pizza. Anything else? Could I have a large bottle of lemonade, please? That's 9.25 pounds. Please. Thank you. Okay? Then we have in a cafe. What would you like? I'm not sure. Would you like some tea? No thanks, I don't like tea. Do you like coffee? Yes, I do, but I'm really thirsty. I'd like a large glass of water. Anything to eat? No, I'm not hungry. Okay? So that was exercise B. Now let's move on to exercise C here. Study the pairs of sentences. Alright, so here we have I'd like some tea, right? I'd like a sandwich. I like tea, and I like sandwiches. Find differences between each pair. So what is the main difference between each pair of these sentences, you guys? So what's the difference if I say I'd like some tea as compared to I like tea? Well, the meaning for I'd like some tea here means I'd like some tea as in I'd like tea right now, right? But when I say I like, right, this D stands for would, and I'll talk about that later in 3 to 5 minutes, right? But for now, this D represents would, okay? So for full form, it would be I would like some tea, as in I want it right now, right? I'd like it right now. But when I simply say I like tea or I like sandwiches, what I'm trying to say is that I like it in general, all the time. So if I say I like coffee, it means I like coffee all the time. It doesn't matter. But if I say I'd like a cup of coffee, for example, that means that I want a cup of coffee right now. And that is why you see people when ordering food, for example, they say I'd like a sandwich, I'd like some tea, I'd like some coffee. It depends, but they have to use that apostrophe D. Okay? Make sentences with food and drink words from this unit. Again, this will be entirely up to you. Okay, I'd like some coffee, I'd like drink, right? I'd like to order a large pizza. All of these could be questions and sentences. It depends what you like. Make questions from these sentences above. Okay, so I'd like some tea, I'd like a sandwich, I like tea, and I like sandwiches. So if I want to turn these to questions, I'd say, would you like some tea, or would you like a sandwich? I could also say, would you like, or not would, do you like tea / sandwiches? Do you like sandwiches? Do you like tea? Okay, all of these are examples of questions from these sentences above. Now, how can you reply to each question? Okay, so if I say, would you like some tea? I could answer and say, yes, please, or no, thanks. Same thing for, would you like a sandwich? I could also say, yes, please, or no, thanks. But what if someone asks me, do you like tea? I could say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. And if someone asks me, do you like sandwiches? Again, I could also say, yes, I do, or no, I don't, based on my personal preference. Okay? Now let's go to pronunciation check 1. Pronouncing a and some. So these are articles, right? So you guys got to know that we do not usually stress the articles like a and some. So when we're speaking, don't add unnecessary stress on articles such as a and some. So I'd like some coffee. okay? Cruise through it. Don't just stress it, okay? I'd like a drink, okay? Add the stress before and after, but don't add stress on the article itself, okay? Now let's go to exercise D here. We're going to listen, and we have to underline the stressed words in each sentence, okay? So here we go.
169. Exercise D2. Listen and check.
A.
Would you like a drink?
B.
I'd like a large pizza, please.
C. Could I have an orange juice? D.
What would you like?
E.
Can I have a Coke, please?
F.
Would you like some mushrooms?
Would you like some mushrooms? Okay, so again, would you like a drink? The stress will be on the word like and drink. Like we said, A, we do not stress articles. I'd like a large pizza, please. Like and pizza are the stress words in this case. Then we have, could I have an orange juice? Have, orange, and juice as well. All of these are stressed. What would you like? Again, what is stressed, and like as well. Can I have a Coke, please? Can and the word Coke are stressed. Would you like some mushrooms? So would you like will be stressed, and mushrooms, again, a stressed word. Okay? So remember, do not stress articles when talking. Okay, let's move on. Here we have read pronunciation check 2, exercise E. Pronouncing the word would. Okay, so this is what I was talking to you guys about. So we do not say the full word in positive sentences. Okay, so when talking in a positive sentence, you never say the word would. Okay? We say the full word only in questions and short answers. Again, one more time. So if I'm asking a question, so would you like some water? Would you like a sandwich? I'll say the word would. Fine. Okay? Even when I'm giving a short answer. So yes, I would. No, I would not, or I wouldn't in this case. Okay? You could use the full word, no problem. But if you're giving a positive sentence like above, like say, I'd like some tea, I'd like a sandwich, you never say the full word. So don't ever, when you're in a restaurant or a cafe, don't ever say, I would like some tea, or I would like a sandwich. No, this is not correct. It's better if you say, I'd like some tea, I'd like a sandwich, okay? Again, I would, you'll change it to apostrophe D, so I'd like some coffee. Again, this is a question, so it's fine to use the word would. Would you like some water? Short answer, so yes, I would, or no, I wouldn't. Okay? Now, let's go to, where were we? Yes. So, practice saying the sentences in exercise D. So, again, pretty simple. We'll just go over them one more time. So, would you like a drink? I'd like a large pizza, please. Again, don't say the full word. So, don't say, I would like a large pizza. Okay? Say, I'd like a large pizza. Could I have an orange juice? What would you like? A question. Can I have a Coke, please? Would you like some mushrooms? Okay? Now, let's go to skills check here. Countable and uncountable. Remember, we talked about this. So, what is an uncountable noun? It could be something that you can pour, right? So, water, juice, milk, tea. It's something that you cannot count, you guys, okay? Something that you can spread, like butter, hummus, jam, peanut butter. All of these are good examples of things that you can spread, okay? Also, something that you can cut up, then eat, is not countable. So, for example, cheese, bread, meat, fish, chicken, all of these are things that you cannot count. And something that you simply cannot see. I mean, you can't see knowledge, can you? You cannot see music. You cannot see reading. Okay? So all of these are uncountable nouns. And like we said before, we use the word much with uncountable nouns. Okay? Like, for example, there isn't much water because we pour water. Okay? Do you drink much tea? Again, because we pour tea. I don't listen to much music because music is something that we cannot see. And how much bread is there? Because bread is something that you cut and then eat. So again, uncountable. And you guys remember, we use the word many with the opposite, which is countable nouns. Okay? Now let's go to exercise G here. Are these sentences correct? Let's check. Right, so are these sentences and questions correct? If not, then why? Alright, so how much time do you have? How much time do you have is correct, right? And why? How much time do you have? Why did I say how much time instead of saying how many time? Well, that's correct because time is uncountable, but why is time uncountable? Well, you can't see time, can you? So you can't see time, or we'll just say it. You can't see it. Okay? Is there much oil in the bottle? Again, is it right or wrong? It's right. But why did I say much instead of many? Well, because you can pour it, just like water, just like coffee. You can pour it. Okay? Do you much reading? Do you do much reading? Do you do much reading? Again, correct. And why did I use the word much? Because you can't see reading. So we'll say you can't see it. Okay? You can't see it. Do you read much books? Well, this one's wrong. And why is it wrong? Because you can actually see books, right? Books are a countable noun. So, do you read? We'll say, do you read? We'll say many. Let me write that in capital. And, wow, my bad. Many. Okay, and we'll say, you can see them, as in books. So many, you can see them. Do you have much work? Well, that's true because you can't really see work, can you? It's just like music. It's just like knowledge. So do you have much work? We'll say you can't see it. Okay? There isn't much people in the class. This one's wrong. Why? Again, because you can see people. People are countable. So again, we'll say many. Wow, I cannot type today. Many. And because you can see people. Okay? Let me add a full stop here. Here. Okay? Do you have much money? Again, remember when I talked about money, you guys, in the beginning of this lesson, or this unit. Do you have much money? That's correct. You can't see it, right? You can't see money as in the word itself, although you can see coins and notes. So in this case, we'll use the word much. So it is correct. So we'll say you can't see it. Okay. Then we have I don't eat much chips. This one is wrong. I don't eat many chips. Chips aren't countable. So we'll say you can see it. Okay? So one more time. How much time do you have? It's correct because you can't see time. Is there much oil in the bottle? Correct as well because you can pour oil. Do you do much reading? That's correct because you can't see reading. Do you read much books? Is wrong because you can see books and it's a countable noun, so you'll say you can see them. Do you have much work? Again, correct because you can't really see work. There isn't much people in the class. Wrong because people is a countable noun and you can see people. Do you have much money? Again, much is correct with the word money itself, but you can see coins and notes. But in this case, the word money, you can't really see it, so we'll use much with that. And I don't eat much chips is wrong because you can see chips. Okay? You can see chips, so it's wrong. We'll use the word many. Okay? Correct the wrong sentences. Okay. So what are the ones that were... Do you read much books? We'll say, do you read many books? Right? Word F, there isn't much people in the class. We'll say there aren't many people in the class. Right? And H, I don't eat much chips. We'll say, I don't eat many chips. Okay? So that was exercise G, vocab and pronunciation. Now let's move on. Alright, you guys, so now let's move on to lesson 4 reading. Here we have exercise A. In this lesson, you're going to read about a plant, right? So label the figure with words from the box and use Google or the internet to check your answers. Well, since I already know these, I'll just put them down, but you could do further research if you want, okay? So these are flowers, right? This is, by the way, the main parts of a plant. So we have flowers, okay? And these are leaves, okay? And these are called berries. And finally, we have seeds, okay? So these are the main parts of a plant. Now let's go to exercise B. What do you know about tea and coffee? And before we move any further, let's go to this side right here and read about coffee and tea, okay? So, coffee. Coffee is a kind of hot drink. It is made from the berries of a small bush. The name comes from Kaffa, a town in Ethiopia. There is a story about the first cup of coffee. In about 850 BCE, an Ethiopian man called Kaldi had some goats. They ate some berries from a bush. Then they started jumping up and down. Kaldi made the berries into a drink. He drank it. Suddenly, he was full of energy. He told everyone about the new drink. Coffee became very popular in the Arab world. In the 16th century, Arabs brought coffee to Europe. The first coffee house in London opened in 1652. British people took coffee to America in the 1690s. At first, coffee only came from Yemen. Then, at the end of the 17th century, people took some bushes to Indonesia. At the beginning of the 18th century, sailors took some bushes to South America. Coffee grows now in Central and South America, Africa, and Indonesia. Tea. Tea is a kind of hot drink. It is made from the leaves of a small bush. The name comes from a Chinese word, tai. There is a story about the first cup of tea. In about 2700 BCE, the ruler of China felt tired. He sat down under a tree. He boiled some water to drink. Some leaves fell from the tree into the pot. He drank the water. Suddenly, he didn't feel tired anymore. It was 3,000 years before the drink became popular in China. In 800 BCE, the Chinese took some bushes to Japan. Tea arrived in Europe at the beginning of the 18th century. In the 1820s, people found tea bushes in Burma, now Myanmar, and India. The British took some bushes to Sri Lanka. Now there are tea bushes in countries in Asia, Africa, and South America. Okay? And tea and coffee around the world. This is the map. Alright, so now let's go back to exercise B. What do you know about tea and coffee? So what part of the plant does each drink come from? Well, we know that coffee comes from the berries, right? While tea comes from the leaves, okay? Leaves and berries are right here, okay? Where does the name of each drink come from? Well, Kaffa, right, the Ethiopian town, that's where coffee comes from, and tea comes from Tai, the Chinese word. When did people start drinking tea? And what about coffee? Well, people started drinking coffee at about 850 CE, and people started drinking tea about 2700 BCE. Wow, the difference is insane. Where did people start drinking tea? What about coffee? Right, so people started drinking coffee in Ethiopia, while people started drinking tea in China. And where does each plant grow today? It grows in Central and South America, and Africa, as well as Indonesia. That's for coffee, by the way. And for tea, the plant grows in Asia, Africa, and South America. Alright? So that's what we know about tea and coffee. Now we have exercise C, work in pairs, read about coffee, read about tea if you're in class, find answer to the questions in exercise B for your drink, that's what we just did, and talk to your partner about your drink. I would suggest sitting and engaging in a sort of in a conversation, right? Talk about differences between coffee and tea, their history, why were they named, and basically use the answers to your advantage. Okay? Now let's go to skills check 1, excuse me, marking text 2. A text has several paragraphs. Well, we know that. And each paragraph is usually about one idea or a specific topic. Well, you should know that marking helps with active reading, by the way. What are the topics usually about? Well, the topics could be about definition, right? They could be about the origins of the name, like we just saw. They could talk about the future, the present day, or even history. Okay? You could draw a line between paragraphs, right? Or write the topic of the paragraph in the margin. But just remember that marking a text helps with active reading. It could help you when active reading. Okay? So now let's go to exercise D. How many paragraphs are there in your text? Okay. So again, remember that texts could be about definition, origins of name, history, and the present day. So in this case, let's say, for example, coffee here. Okay, let me actually read the question again. How many paragraphs are there in your text? Okay, so we have about, we'd say 3 paragraphs. Okay, 3 to 4 paragraphs. And what are they about? So history takes up most of these. So history has more than 1 paragraph, right? There is a story about the first cup of coffee. This is history. In the 16th, again, history. Okay, at first only, then at the end, again, history. Okay, but towards the end, here we have coffee grows now in Central and South America, Africa, and Indonesia. Okay, now we're talking about the present day. Okay, so all of these were history. Okay, this was definition, right? As well as origins, and then we have history, and then the present day. Okay? Now let's go to T. Again, T here, we're talking about definition, and then we're talking about origins of the name, the Chinese word Thai. Okay? And then we're talking about history here, and finally, again, the present day. Alright? What else do we have? Does your text have the same topics as your partner's text? Yes, it does. Okay? Scan the texts on the opposite page to find 8 countries, 6 continents, 4 nationalities, 1 name, 2 towns/cities, and 10 dates. Right. So what I want you guys to do is now pause the video and go and read it twice. And keep in mind that you want 8 countries. So as you go along, write the names of countries down. Continents, we want 6 continents, so write the names of continents down, as well as 4 nationalities, 1 name, 2 towns or cities, and 10 dates. Okay? So I hope you were able to get them. Now let's go to countries. So in countries for coffee, we have Ethiopia, right? We have America, we have Yemen, and we have Indonesia. Okay? What about tea? For tea, we have China, Japan, Burma, now known as Myanmar, India, as well as Sri Lanka. Okay? Okay. What about continents? Okay, so for coffee, we have Europe, we have Central America, we have South America, and Africa. While in tea, let me take a look. We have, again, Europe, Asia, Africa as well, and South America again. Okay? 4 nationalities. Okay? Ethiopian, right? Ethiopian right here. Also British, right? And for tea, we have Chinese and British as well. Okay? What else do we have? We need 1 name. I think that this one's pretty simple. We have Kaldi, the name Kaldi, and coffee. Okay? Right here. Excuse me. What about towns or cities? Well, it's only in coffee, and we have city name Kaffa, and also London. Okay? London right here. Okay, what else do we need? We need 10 dates. Okay, interesting. So for dates, we have, for coffee, we have about 850 CE. We have the 16th century. We have 1652 right here, 1690, the 17th century, and the 18th century. Okay, now let's go to tea. We'll say 2700 BCE, 800 BCE, the 18th century, and 1820. Okay, these are 10 dates. Do we have anything else? I think that's it. Yeah, so that was reading, you guys. Now let's move on to writing and grammar. Alright, you guys, so now let's move on to Lesson 5, Writing and Grammar. So before we go to Exercise A, let's actually read Skills Check 1. So we have making countable nouns, plural, okay? So now we're talking specifically about countable nouns, okay? Nouns that use many, okay? So we make most countable nouns plural with an S, right? So eggs, or egg, you turn it into plural by adding S. Drink, you add an S and it becomes plural. However, there are some other spelling rules, okay? So it's not just a simple S every single time. There are other rules depending on the ending or the final letter of the word. For example, if a word ends in O and it's a countable noun, we'll usually add E and S to turn it to a plural word, right? So for example, the word potato, I'll turn it to plural by adding ES. So in this case, potatoes, okay? If a word ends in Y, I'll get rid of the Y and add IES. Berry, berries, right? IES, okay? If a word ends with F, I'll get rid of the F and add VES to turn it into plural. So leaf, leaves, okay? What about wolf? I'll get rid of the F and add VES, so turns into wolves, okay? And if a word ends with FE, again, I'll get rid of the FE the exact same way and add VES. For example, wife turns into wives, alright? Then we have words that end in CH, right? SH, S, and X. When you see all of these final letters, just add ES, okay? So for example, the word sandwich, I'll add ES to turn it into plural, so it'll be sandwiches, okay? Bush, bushes. Bus, buses. Box, boxes, alright? But note that the plural S here, okay, is spelled as, is spelled or pronounced as Z, okay? So don't say boxes, say boxes, okay? That final S is pronounced as Z in all of them, okay? In all the rules and not just this part right here. So potato, potatoes. I don't say potatoes, okay? Potatoes, okay? Berry, berries. That Z sound, okay? Leaf, leaves. I never say leaves, okay? That's wrong. Say leaves. Wives, not wives. Wives, okay? So that final S is always pronounced as Z, okay? Now, there are some exceptions that you'll find when you're adding or turning words into plural in the case of the words ending in the letter O, okay? So for example, we know that when we find the letter O towards the ending of a word, we add ES to turn it into plural. But these are some exceptions that you might face. For example, the word studios, right? The word studio, you'll add an S and not ES in this case, okay? The word zoos as well, okay? Turn it into plural, you'll add an S and not ES. So just keep in mind that there may be some exceptions, okay? Now let's go to exercise A. Study the words in the box below. How do you make each word plural? Alright, so again, potato. So what are we going to do? Again, we have O, so we'll add E and S. So potato, potato, and ES. Okay? Potatoes. Berry, we'll get rid of the Y and add I-E-S. So berries, okay, I-E-S. Leaf, we'll get rid of the F and add V-E-S. So it becomes leaves. Oops, sorry. Leaves. Okay? Sandwich, C-H, will add E-S as well. So sandwiches. Okay? Again, same one. Bush will add ES as well. So bushes, ES. Okay? So again, potato, potatoes, berry, berries, leaf, leaves, sandwich, sandwiches, bush, bushes. Okay? So that was exercise A. Now let's go to exercise B. Guess the plural form of these words. So this is just a guessing game. Pause the video, do it again. It's really similar to the last exercise. We'll do it quickly and we'll move on. So again, tomato. So we'll say tomatoes, okay, ES, ends with an O. Cherry, we'll say cherry, I-E-S instead of Y. Shelf turns into shelves, okay. Dish becomes dishes, again, ES. Peach becomes peaches, okay. And knife becomes knives, okay. K is silent, you guys. Knives, okay. Instead of F, we'll add V-E-S. Alright? So, again, tomato, tomatoes, cherry, cherries, shelf, shelves, dish, dishes, peach, peaches, knife, knives. Okay? Now let's move on. Here we have exercise C. Read skills check 2. Can you use A with okay, so these are some questions. So let's read skills check 2 before we go there. So we have, again, countable and uncountable nouns. Look at the patterns with a, the, some, and no article at all. Okay? So we could use a and the with countable singular countable nouns. For example, the word drink, sandwich, goat, etc. Right? But for uncountable single nouns, we can't use the word a, or not the letter A, right? We could use some and the, but we cannot use a, okay? So again, countable singular goes with a and the. No some. I can't say some sandwich or some drink or some goat, okay? But with uncountable singular nouns, we could use some and the, but no a, okay? What about plural, you guys? So for plural nouns, okay, for plural countable nouns, we again could use some, the, but no a as well. Okay, that's in plural form and not in singular form. Alright, now let's go to exercise C. Read skills check 2. Already did that. Can you use a with uncountable nouns? Could we use a with uncountable nouns, you guys? No. Okay, so no is the correct answer. Let me reset this. We'll say no. Okay, why did I say no? Because you cannot say, for example, a sugar, right? It's wrong. Okay. Could I use the with both kinds of nouns? Yes, we could use it for both singular and plural countable and uncountable as well. So we'll say yes. The with both kinds of nouns. Okay. 3. No article with uncountables. No articles with uncountables. Yes, that is true. So no article with uncountables. Okay, we could use that. So again, yes. And no article with countable singular nouns. That is wrong. We do not use no article with countable singular nouns. We use a or the, but we cannot use no article. So in this case, no. Okay? So that was exercise C. Let's move on. Okay. Complete this text with a suitable article. Do you need a, and, the, or no article in each space? Right, so now it's going to get a little bit more practical. Okay, we're going to be reading it as we go on. We're going to have to find the suitable article in each case. Okay, so let's start. Here we have Coca-Cola is a or an or the or an article. We'll say a, okay, is a kind of dash cold drink. So is kind of a cold drink? No, we'll use no article. Okay, so Coca-Cola is a kind of cold drink. Okay, the name comes from two plants. At first it was made from, we'll say, I can't say a leaves or an leaves, so I'll say the leaves of, right? It was made from the leaves of, we'll say the, where is it? Leaves of the coca bush and the fruit of a cola bush, of the cola bush, sorry, not a, so the fruit of the cola bush. Okay, so again, Coca-Cola is a kind of cold drink. The name comes from two plants. At first, it was made from the leaves of the coca bush and the fruit of the cola bush. Okay? Now let's go to the second paragraph. Here we have in 1883, dash man, we'll say a man called Angelo Mariana made, we'll say again, made a coca drink. 3 years later, on May 8th, 1886, dash American, we'll say an American, Dr. Joan Pemberton, right, took dash drink, we'll say took the drink and added, what did he add? Took the drink and added, no article here, so we'll say no article, and added cola fruit. The doctor, we'll say the doctor started selling the drink, right? We'll use the drink a year later. So drink a year later. In the first year, we'll say the first year, he sold $50 worth of Coca-Cola, so no article here. But he spent just another $74 on, what was it? Advertising, so no article in this case. In 1888, another American, Asa Candelier, bought Pemberton's company, right? He said the drink, we'll use the here, he said the drink was good for headaches, so no article here. We'll say in the next 25 years, Candler made $50 million from the Coca-Cola drink. Wow. Coca-Cola is, we'll use the most popular soft drink in, we'll say, the world. Okay? Every year, the company, right, we'll say the company sells nearly 10 million liters. Okay? So that was finding a suitable article, you guys. Now, let's move on. Okay? Do we have anything else here? No, we don't. Alright. Now let's move on to the tables. Here we have work in two groups, right? If you're in class, do that. If not, it's fine, right? Work out the patterns for each table, right? And write two more examples, whether that's two more sentences or questions for each pattern. So let's start with table number 1. We have I like eggs and she likes cheese. A simple subject, verb, and object. So if I want to write two similar sentences in this style, how would I go about it? I could say, they like meat, right? They like meat. I could also say, we like cheese, right? It's similar to I like eggs and she likes cheese. Okay? Now let's go to table 2. Okay, here we have subject, auxiliary, verb, and object. So I don't like beans. He doesn't like meat. Well, I could also say she doesn't like lettuce. Or I could also say they don't like butter. Okay, so these are two more examples. Table 3, auxiliary, right? So in this case, it's a do question, so a yes or no question. Subject, verb, and object. do you like mushrooms or does he like fish? I could also say, do they like oil? Does she like pizza? Okay? Different examples. You could also use your own examples. It's fine. Table 4. Okay? Right, so we have the subject model. So in this case, it's either would or apostrophe D, short for would as well. But I remember you guys when I talked about the difference. Then we have the verb, like, and objects here. So some cheese, an article, and object. So some cheese, some chips, a pizza, and an egg. Alright. So I could say I'd like a sandwich, right? If I'm ordering at a restaurant, for example, I could say I'd like a sandwich. Not I would like, but I'd like a sandwich. I could also say she'd like some chips, right? Works perfectly. Then we have table 5. Again, we start with the model now. Then we have the subject, verb, and an article, and the object. 4 or 5, so I could say things that are similar to would you like some water? Would you like some potatoes? Would you like a drink? Would you like an apple? I could say would you like an orange, right? I can also say would you like some tomatoes, right? Again, you could use more examples if you want. Table 6, we have, again, auxiliary. In this case, it's do. And then we have the subject, you, verb, and object. Okay, so do you have any ice? Do you have any crisps? I could also say, do you have any ideas? Right? Makes sense, and it works. It's not about food, but it works. Okay? And we have table 7, question word. Okay, so in this pattern, we're going to start with a question word. So, what, how, which, where. Much or many, depending on the noun that you're going to use. Then we have water, eggs. So let me just read them out loud. So how much water do you drink every day? And how many eggs do you eat every day? I could say, how much bread do you eat every day? And I can also say, how many potatoes do you eat every week? Okay? I'm following the same pattern. Alright? Now let's go to, we got all these two. So now let's go to exercise G. What is the rule? Look at table 6. Let's take another look at table 6. We have do question with do. Do you have any ice? Do you have any crisps? Okay. Make questions in the following situations. If you want an apple, how would you go about asking for it? So I could say, do you have an apple? Right? Do you have some cheese? Do you have some chocolate? Do you have a banana? Do you have some lemonade? Do you have some milk? Do you have a biscuit? Do you have some rice? Do you have some sugar? And do you have some tea? So this is how you would use this pattern when asking questions about the different situations here. Okay? Now let's go to exercise H. Right, so here we have mark the words in the box, F for food or D for drink. Right, so let me open this. Here we have, again, the pattern of the question, right? We'll start with a question word and then much or many, depending on the noun. Then we have water or eggs, again, the noun. Auxiliary, subject, verb, and other, okay? Now let's mark the words in the box if they're food, F, or D, drink, and we gotta identify which words are gonna use much or many. Okay, so bread, obviously, F, food, okay? And do we use much or many, you guys, with bread? That's correct, we use much, okay? Bread is uncountable. Potatoes, again, food, not drinks. And we use many with potatoes. Potatoes is a countable noun, okay? Rice, again, F, food. And we use much with rice because, again, rice is uncountable. Excuse me. Chips. Chips is also food, right? And we use many with chips, okay? Fruit. Fruit is F, okay? Food. And we use much with the word fruit in this case, okay? Then we have apples, again, food, okay, and we use many with apples. Cheese, again, F, but we use much with cheese. Cheese is not countable, you guys, okay? Milk is D. Milk is a drink, not food, and we use much with milk because milk is uncountable. Coffee, same exact thing, it's a drink. We also use much because it's uncountable. What about cups of coffee, you guys? Well, cups of coffee, again, drink, but we use many, right? Because I'm talking about the cups. Cups are countable. Coffee is not so in this case. We'll use many cups of coffee. Okay? Ask your partner about his/her daily food and drink. Use the pattern in table 7. So you could use the pattern here, starting with a question word. Let's say, for example, I can say, how much bread do you eat every day, for example, right? Or how many eggs do you eat every day as well? That works. It depends. You could use your own example. Okay, let us check. Yep, that's right. So that was exercise 8, you guys. Now let's move on to the next page. Right, you guys, so now let's move on to the final lesson of this unit, lesson 6, writing and grammar. Okay, so here we have 3 photographs, cacao fruit, cacao seeds, and cacao beans, and chocolate. Right, so you're going to read about another hot drink, number the sentences in a logical order. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I want you guys to pause the video and read all of these sentences and use your own logical order to number them, right? So number them in a way that you think best fits, right, a story or a description about chocolate in this case, or cacao tree, for example, okay? So I'm going to use my own logical order that I got, but it's not a one positive done answer, okay? You could use your own answer here as well. So let's start with 1. We have hot chocolate is a kind of hot drink, right? So I think we can all agree that this is 1. For 2, I could probably say chocolate is made from the seeds of the cacao tree, right? And then for 3, we could say right here, the name chocolate comes from a Mayan word. I don't know how to pronounce that, so calatel, I think. Not too sure, don't quote me on that. And for 4, we'll say the Mayans lived in Mexico from 2000 BC to 1524 BCE. Okay, what about number 5? Excuse me. We could say the Mayans made a drink from the seeds in about 1500 BCE, right? What about number 6? We could say the Mayans believed that the drink gave them knowledge, okay? Number 7 would probably be that the Mayans took the drink to Central America in about 600 BCE. Now let's go to 8. I think it would be... Alright, now let's talk a little bit more. So Christopher Columbus had hot chocolate in 1502 in the West Indies. This is a good number 8. Okay? Number 9 would probably be sailors from Spain took the drink back home in 1544. Okay? What about number 10? We could say the sailors added sugar to the drink, right? And then I think that's where the first chocolate was made. So we'll say the first chocolate house opened in London in 1657, right? Or actually, no, scratch that. Before we do that, let's go with number 11, which is the drink. Do we have the drink here? I think I just saw it. Yeah, the drink became popular with many people in many countries. And then we'll say the first chocolate house opened in London in 1657. Okay? What about number 13, which would be There are now bushes in West Africa, Indonesia, and Brazil. Okay, now let's move to 14. We'll say hot chocolate drinks. I just saw it. It was just here. Hot chocolate drinks are very popular with young people in many countries. Okay? And then we'll finally say people buy nearly 900 million kilograms of chocolate drinks every year. That's an insane number. Okay? So again, this was my logical order. Yours could be different, and that is fine. Now let's go to exercise B. Read each pair of sentences and change the underlined nouns in the second sentence to pronouns. Right, so we're going to change the nouns in the second sentence to pronouns. So we could use it, they, it depends. Right? So hot chocolate is a kind of hot drink. I want to turn hot chocolate, in this case, to a pronoun. So hot chocolate is made from the seeds of a cacao tree. So I could say hot chocolate, I could refer to hot chocolate with the word it, right? So it is made from the seeds of a cacao tree. 2. The Mayans lived in Mexico from 2000 BCE to 1524. I'll refer to the Mayans with the word they, right? They made a drink from the seeds in about 1500 BCE. Okay? Again, the Mayans made a drink from the seeds in about 1500 BCE. We'll again refer to them as they one more time. They believed that the drink gave, we'll say them in this case, so them knowledge. Okay? Christopher Columbus had hot chocolate in 1502 in the West Indies. Sailors from Spain want to change the drink here to pronoun, so I'll say it. Say the word it. So, sailors from Spain took it back home in 1544. Okay? Then we have 5. Sailors from Spain took the drink back home in 1544. The sailors added sugar to the drink. I'm going to change the sailors here to they. Okay? They added sugar to the drink will be referred to as it. They added sugar to it. Okay? So one more time. Hot chocolate is a kind of hot drink. It is made from the seeds of a cacao tree. The Mayans lived in Mexico from 2000 BCE to 1524. They made a drink from the seeds in about 1500 BCE. The Mayans made a drink from the seeds in about 1500 BCE. They believed that the drink gave them knowledge. Christopher Columbus had hot chocolate in 1502 in the West Indies. Sailors from Spain took it back home in 1544. Sailors from Spain took the drink back home in 1544, and they added sugar to it. Alright? So that was exercise B, you guys. Now let's move on. What do we have here? We have read these sentences, okay, and circle the correct word or phrase in each case. Okay, so I love milk or the milk. I'll obviously say milk. Why? Because I don't use articles, right? I use no article with verbs like love, hate, okay? Love, hate, so when I say I love or I hate, never use an article. Then we have 2, I hate, same like we just said, an egg or eggs. So I'll say eggs again, no article. Could or would I have an orange juice? I'll say could in this case, right? Because could is used for polite requests in the question form. Okay, so could I have an orange juice? Would you like the tea or would you like some tea? We'll say some tea, right? Because we use some with uncountables in polite offers. So would you like some tea? She doesn't like or she don't like tea. We'll say she doesn't like tea. Okay? What do you like to drink? What would you like to drink? We'll obviously choose would because would is for offers. Remember when we talked about this? So what would you like to drink? I like a glass of water, please, or I'd like a glass of water, please. Again, I'd like a glass of water, because the word would, or apostrophe D in speech, is for polite requests in sentence form. And it means that you want something as in right now. You'd like it right now. How much or how many coffee do you drink every day? How much, obviously, because coffee is uncountable. Okay? How much coffee do you drink every day? Okay, so one more time. I love milk. I hate eggs. Could I have an orange juice? Would you like some tea? She doesn't like tea. What would you like to drink? I'd like a glass of water, please. How much coffee do you drink every day? Okay, now let's move on. Here we have exercise D. Study the notes on a drink and write a short, simple website article. Okay, so this is about Pepsi. Right. So we have the definition. It's a cold drink, and origin of the name is, again, from a cola bush. A little bit, some notes about its history is that in 1893, Caleb Bradham, right, he mixed a new drink with water, sugar, and the cola fruit, and called it Brad's drink. And in 1898, New Name, which was Pepsi Cola, started selling drink. And they sold about 30,000 in the first year, right? And 1920s to 1930s were considered bad times for the product, and in the 1950s, it reached success around the world. Now, the present day, right, it's second in terms of competition to Coca-Cola, right? And I think it sells around 7.5 million liters. What is that, per day or per average? I'm not too sure. So if we wanted to write a short website article about Pepsi Cola, look, I'll give you some ideas, but you should be writing this down on your own. So I could start with something like Pepsi Cola is a kind of cold drink, right? Start with the definition. I'm not making things up. It's all from the notes. The name comes from the cola bush. And then I could now move on to the history. In 1893, an American, Caleb Bradham, made a new soft drink with water, sugar, and the cola fruit, and he called it Brad's drink. Okay? I could also say in 1898, he gave it a new name, Pepsi Cola. He sold 30,000 liters of the drink in the first year. Okay? There were some bad times for the company in the 1920s and 1930s. But finally, in the 1950s, the drink became a success in America and around the world. Now, Pepsi Cola is second only to Coca-Cola in worldwide sales. The company sells over, we'll say, 7.5 million liters. We'll consider this every year, so we'll say liters every year. Okay? You could write it just like mine, or you could use your own mind and write your own article. Okay? So yeah, that was Unit 10, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful English course, and I guess I'll see you in the 98 course. Thank you, and have a good one. Peace out.